Hey, what's going on everyone? Today I'll be doing a comparison between each of these air inflators offered by Kobalt, Crafstman, Milwaukee, and Dewalt. I woke up last week to see the tire pressure was pretty low in my car. So as I was getting ready to fill it back up, I forgot that the cheap inflator I bought on Amazon bit the dust months ago. So I decided to purchase one of these nicer cordless portable air inflators in hopes of finding that it's of better quality than the Chinese junk that dominates the Amazon search results. Spoiler alert, they all are. And by the way, I paid for each of these out of my own pocket with the battery and charger included. So this set me back about $500 to $600. By no means is this video sponsored in any way, so please, at the very least, give this video a thumbs up for the time, effort, and money I've put towards putting this review / comparison together. And if you do decide to purchase one of these, use the links in the description and comments below. The only compensation I receive is a small percentage of your purchase if you use one of the links in the description or comments to purchase. It does not cost you anything extra, but it does help me out in paying for the camera, the lighting, editing software, and other equipment that goes into producing these videos, let alone the cost of the actual air inflators themselves. Anyways, let's get on with the video. I'll be covering 3 general areas: power, interface, and performance. I did perform a test to determine which air inflator was the quickest, so I'll go more into that later. Let's go over each of these air inflators, starting with their power source. With the exception of the Kobalt, all of these air inflators have the ability to run off a wireless lithium-ion battery ranging from 12 volts to 20 volts. The batteries do require an additional charger that adds to the actual cost, which I'll cover towards the end of the video. In addition to battery power, the Dewalt, Craftsman, and Kobalt can be powered from the 12-volt power supply through the cigarette lighter in your car. The Milwaukee cannot. Its only power source is its 12-volt battery. Similarly, all but the Milwaukee also have an AC power cord, so they can be plugged into the wall if used within the home. I also want to note that the Dewalt's AC cord is sold separately. In addition to the power input, the Craftsman and Dewalt models can accept both 12 and 20-volt batteries from their respective manufacturer. Milwaukee does not make a 20-volt battery for this air inflator, so it's limited to the 12 volts. Lastly, in the power category, let's check out the cord length on the Dewalt, Craftsman, and Kobalt. The Dewalt's DC cord measured almost 14 feet at 164 inches. The Craftsman measured just past 10 feet at 122 inches, and the Kobalt was the longest at 16 feet or 192 inches. And while we're measuring cord lengths, let's look at the length of the inflation and an AC cord. The Dewalt measures at 30 inches, the Craftsman and Milwaukee both at 27.5 inches, and the Kobalt at 30 inches. The AC cord measures at 19 inches for the Craftsman, and the Kobalt measures at 23 inches. Let's take a look at the interfaces. Every one of these has a light up screen, so in the event you're stuck on the side of the road at night, you'll be able to see what you're doing. The Kobalt is the only one that also illuminates its buttons. All but the Kobalt have the ability to read pressure in VAR and KPA, in addition to PSI. If you don't know what those are, you probably won't need them. The Dewalt and Craftsman also include plastic flexi hoses to air up objects with a wider mouth like air mattresses. If you plan on airing up basketballs, soccer balls, or anything that requires a needle, each one of these air inflators also includes a needle, a secure storage area for it, and some other miscellaneous inflating attachments. Let's take a look at cord management. The Dewalt's inflation cord wraps around the right-hand side, and DC cord is tucked into a side compartment that is buckled closed. The Milwaukee's simply wraps around the back, similar to how the Kobalt's AC cord is stored. The Kobalt stores the DC and inflation cord in the sides under some flimsy filling plastic covers. Lastly, the Craftsman cord wraps around the left-hand side, and the DC cord wraps around the right-hand side. The AC cord is stored snugly in the inner wrapping of the air inflator. Moving on, the adjustability and setting of pressure. Each one of these has the ability to set it and forget it, meaning you can set your desired PSI, then walk away and let it run. Once it hits the desired PSI, it will automatically shut off. The Milwaukee uses 2 big push buttons that move in single increments until you hold down, where they increase by units of 5. The Craftsman and Kobalt both increase by units of 1, but if held down, will speed up. Lastly, the Dewalt uses a dial, which makes it much easier to increase or decrease the setting rapidly. Finally, let's look at the chuck attached to the air hose. This is an important piece as it's easy to get damaged, and without it, the air inflator is useless. The Kobalt, unfortunately, uses a cheap plastic clamp-on chuck. The Crafstman is slightly better since it uses a mostly metal housing clamp-on chuck. However, the Milwaukee and Dewalt use the most durable brass chucks. These are the ones you want as they screw onto the threads of a car tire, and you can almost hammer these things and they're not going to break or bend. All right, let's move on to the performance category, starting with the max PSI each can reach. Now, honestly, I did not have a good or safe way of testing this, so I'll be covering the ratings as advertised by each manufacturer. The Milwaukee is advertised to deliver over 120 PSI, the Craftsman and Dewalt up to 160, and the Kobalt also up to 120. A few reasons you might want to reach higher PSIs is for items other than car tires. For example, performance road bike tires, which can be in the 80 to 130 PSI range. Or maybe ATV or four-wheeler tires, which can be in the higher range of 50 to 60 plus. Moving on to the size. The Craftsman measures 12 inches in length, 6 inches wide, and 8 inches in height with the battery and including the handle. The Dewalt measures 12 inches in length, 5.5 inches wide, and then 10 inches in height with the battery and including the handle. The Milwaukee measures 6.75 inches in length, 6.5 inches wide, and 7 inches in height with the battery and including the handle. Finally, the Kobalt measures 12.75 inches in length, 7 inches wide, and 8.5 inches in height. The clear winner here in terms of compactness is the Milwaukee. Next, let's look at the rubber feet on each, or lack thereof. One of the things I hated most with the cheap Amazon one I had was it vibrated so much that it would move around on my garage floor while running. Not only annoying, but it was able to wiggle itself loose from the tire. Here's the good news. None of these vibrate so much to the point that they will run away, and with the exception of the Craftsman, all have rubber feet to help stabilize them. Originally, I planned on doing a test relating to each inflator's accuracy, but I decided against it. The pressure in your car or truck tires is going to fluctuate based on the temperature and time of day. So as long as it's relatively close, say plus or minus a half to 1 PSI, then you'll be all right. The only exception to this is the Kobalt. If you decide to purchase this one, set the PSI at least 3 or 4 above where you want it to be. In the next test I'm going over, it appeared the Kobalt always came up short when measured against a separate gauge and when compared to the other models. And speaking of that test, let's go over which one was the fastest. Here's what I did. I deflated the tire on my car to 20 PSI before the start of each test, 13 below my car's recommended PSI. So the target was set to 33. I started with a full battery on each inflator with the exception of the Kobalt, which was plugged into an AC outlet. I plugged each inflator into the tire, fired it up, and timed how long it took before each one stopped. Then I removed each inflator, measured the PSI with a gauge, drained the tire to just below 20 PSI, and topped it off with the Craftsman inflator, so each had the same starting point. I did this 3 times for each one and rotated them between tests so they were allowed to cool off. Note that I used a 20-volt battery for the Craftsman and Dewalt. You might get different results with a 12-volt battery on those because they're not able to draw as much power as quickly. It's going to be difficult to speak about the data, so that's why I'm displaying it here on the screen. At first glance, the Kobalt looks the fastest, but that's false. The Kobalt was the quickest to get done, but it did not inflate the tire to the set PSI. The fastest of each test turned out to be the Milwaukee, followed closely by the Dewalt and then the Craftsman. Now, looking at the data, we're talking about mere seconds here. So does it really matter? Probably not, but it can't hurt to have this information. At the very least, all but the Kobalt appear to be consistently accurate. Remember that a little PSI is lost while I'm unhooking the air hose, so that's what accounts for the half or so PSI each one is off as shown on the table. One other feature I felt was worth mentioning but did not fall into a specific category was the LED light on the Dewalt and Kobalt. The Kobalt is a little cheap feeling, but if you're stuck on the side of the road without any other light, it'll do the job. The Dewalt is nice because it's intelligently placed on the handle, angled up, and is on the side closest to the air hose, so you'll be able to see what you're doing. Now that you have all of this information, what should you actually be considering when you're choosing to purchase one of these? Let's take a look at the actual cost, what your perceived value may be as a result of other uses. frequency of use, the size of your car, charger availability, and batteries you may already have. Let's start with the actual cost. While none of these require a battery to be operated, I highly recommend purchasing one. One, just so you don't have to deal with moving a cord in and out of your vehicle if you need to air up all 4 tires, especially in the cold when all your tires will start to lose some pressure. Secondly, if you do find yourself stuck on the side of the road somewhere, God forbid your cigarette lighter doesn't work. Anyways, this table breaks down the base cost of the air inflator with a battery along with the cost of extra individual batteries without the charger. Now keep in mind, these prices were last updated right before I made this video, which was around December 2019, and they were the lowest I could find on either Amazon, Lowe's, or Home Depot. Some models like the Crafstman only come in starter packs that include 2 batteries, so those are shown price per battery. If you want to see the most up-to-date prices, check the links in the description for my blog post, which I will update periodically. The best value actually turns out to be the Dewalt if you're only purchasing a single battery. You're getting the most power with one of the better picks for about $160. The cost per amp hour is the cheapest and remains that way if you decide to purchase additional batteries. Now that we've covered the actual cost, you might be even more confused with the different battery sizes, so I feel it's important to briefly touch on voltage, amp hours, etc. Don't worry, you don't have to be an electrical engineer to understand. Let me start by saying these are lithium-ion batteries. Each of these packs contains some supersized AA's called 18650s, like the one seen here. Fun fact, these batteries actually powered the first generation Teslas. Yes, thousands of these batteries can power a car. These 18650s are pretty efficient too, and hence why they're used in these battery packs. They're very stable, can withstand cold and hot temperatures without much effect on them. They lose very little energy over the course of a month, and if I recall correctly, some less than 1% of their overall charge when sitting idle. What this means is you can leave them in the trunk of your car for several months, and if you need to air up a flat, you'll have the power to do so. The voltage of a battery, 12 volts or 20 volts, refers to how quickly the battery can supply power. The amp hours, abbreviated A with a capital H, refer to the capacity of the battery. Batteries with a higher amp hour rating will generally have a longer lifespan than batteries with lower ones. The voltage simply means a device like the air inflator can draw more of that power while in use. In regards to lifespan and performance, it all depends on the battery you use in your air inflator. The Crafstman has options for 20 volt batteries up to 4 amp hours, and the Dewalt has options for up to 9 amp hours. The Milwaukee has options up to 6 amp hours, however the lifespan is a little different since that's a 12 volt option. You can find out more about these options by visiting the blog post for this video linked in the description and the comments. If you're like me, you simply want something that's going to work and isn't going to break after the first couple uses. While I don't need all the extra features like a light up screen, different attachments, etc., that's what I have to pay to get a product that isn't garbage. As I already told you, I bought a $30 one off of Amazon and it was a waste of money. I would have been better off buying one of these the first time around and being done with it. I don't have any kids, and as of right now, I'm not married, so it's just me and my dog. But I'm sure there's people watching these that have kids, maybe even grandkids, and or a family. So sports equipment is going to need to be aired up, the air mattress for sleepovers, and when you can't get the bonfire going like me, the air inflator comes in handy. This commingles with the other uses I just mentioned, but consider how often you'll use it. If there are 3, 4, even 5 cars in your family, the battery pack makes moving from car to car easier when that first frost hits in the morning. Additionally, consider the size of your car. You will need a larger cord for larger vehicles, and again, this boils down to how difficult do you want this task to be. If you're fortunate enough to already have batteries compatible with one of these air inflators, I'm sure that plays a role in your decision. It'll already be much cheaper if you don't have to purchase these batteries, or at least already have the charger. Alright, so we've covered a lot here. If you'd like to see some more visuals, tables, and comparisons, again, those can be found in the blog post linked in the description and comments. Let me give you my bottom line recommendation. My pick is the Dewalt. Simply said, it is one of the best performers, and considering the actual cost plus additional batteries if you choose to buy them in the future, is the best value. You get the most bang for your buck in my opinion. Personally, having used this and the others, It's the most well-designed, it's tight, compact, and that light on the handle really comes in handy when you're searching for the tire valve. Up front, it is less expensive than the Crafstman, and the batteries last significantly longer than the Milwaukee, as I found in my speed test. If you're on a budget, the Kobalt isn't a bad option either. In my opinion, spending an extra $20 over a cheap $30 model on Amazon is a good idea. Just make sure the wires are tucked away neatly in the storage compartments and adjust the PSI value a couple ticks higher than where you want it to be. Lastly, if you watched through this entire video, thank you for making it to the end. I really appreciate your support, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up below. Also, if you'd like to see my future videos or videos similar to this, please subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Don't forget to see the links in the description and comments if you'd like quick access to the products covered in this video. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, see you later.